Trade in Hawks franchise icon, Kane signals end of era. Dismantling the core of the dynasty-era Blackhawks was a slow process. Patrick Sharp was traded to Dallas after winning the 2015 Stanley Cup before re-signing in Chicago 2 years later for his final season. Marian Hossa was sidelined for health reasons in 2017, and Niklas Hjalmarsson was transferred to Arizona a few days later. Brent Seabrook underwent 3 separate surgical operations in 2019 and never played again. The Blackhawks left Corey Crawford in 2020 and he retired months later. Duncan Keith was traded to Edmonton in 2021 to be closer to his son and retired after 1 year there. One by one, key members of the Blackhawks Stanley Cup runs were stopped. But nothing stung more than the Blackhawks trade of Patrick Kane, who is expected to be traded Tuesday night to the New York Rangers, where he will be reunited with former linemate Artemi Panarin. It seemed inevitable that Kane would eventually waive his no-move clause given the state of the organization. Kyle Davidson declared a full-scale rebuild when he was hired as the Blackhawks' permanent general manager on March 1, 2022, and it came to fruition before our very eyes. "There are some things we really need to fix that are going to take time," Davidson said that day. The process began with sending Brandon Hagel to Tampa Bay in a package that included Chicago receiving 2 first-round picks. It was expanded when Kirby Dach and Alex DeBrincat were traded in the 2022 NHL entry draft, and Dominik Kubalik and Dylan Strome received no qualifying offers. The Blackhawks have trimmed their roster to the bare minimum in an effort to start fresh and replenish their pipeline, so it was only natural to wonder how that would affect Kane's future and Jonathan Toews, for that matter, before his circumstances changed with his recent illness. Kane desperately wanted to play his entire career with the Blackhawks. He was looking for every reason to stay. But as the deadline approached, it became clear to him that the Blackhawks were a lot further away from fighting than he expected, and it was starting to get to him. Perhaps the most frustrating part of Kane playing anywhere other than Chicago is that it could be avoided. The Blackhawks should have quickly rebuilt in 2018 like the Boston Bruins did in 2014 and 2015 when they collected 5 combined first-round picks, but instead they opted to patch things up. It made things worse. In the summer of 2018, Kane and Toews are 29 years old. A few rough years would have been more bearable at that point, and they might have seen the other side while still playing at a high level. Now, Kane and Toews are 34 years old. They haven't won a playoff round since the 2015 Stanley Cup final. A total demolition doesn't look all that appealing for them at this stage in their careers. Who could blame them? The reality is that Kane is about to become a member of the New York Rangers. It wasn't supposed to be like this, but it is. Nobody loved representing the Blackhawks more than Kane. He wanted to put on a show for the city of Chicago every time he stepped onto the ice at the United Center. It's hard to find a better nickname for him than Showtime. Maybe Kane will come back at some point to end his career in a Blackhawk sweater. It's too early to tell. But his trade officially signals the end of the most memorable era in franchise history. What a race that was.